Hi there, my name is Hillary Spindler, and I'm a sixth grade teacher at Delmar Hills Academy, and I would like to go ahead and do my presentation on rubrics. So, rubrics, what are they? They are a really crucial evaluations tool that teachers and students will both benefit from. This guides students with their learning outcomes and also sets the expectations of the learning objectives and what the goals are. And it's a clear way for both the teacher and the student to understand the measurement that they will be graded upon. They are really important because it's beneficial to both parties, and it provides a clear pathway of what the learning objective is. Along with the guide, it is able to set parameters for what the students are shooting for. So if they're trying to get an E, or if they're aiming for an S, or if they're going for a 4 or a 3 or an A, B, C, whatever the marks are, it has like the association with it. Students and teachers will both be able to know what the end goal is going to be. They should be shared with students in the beginning. So typically when I am introducing what the subject, or sorry, what the content activity is going to be focusing on, I like to go over my rubrics simultaneously. So that way students know, oh, okay, if I'm doing a narrative, I need to make sure I have X, Y, and Z included in my paper to get the mark or the highest mark that I can. So a couple of the examples that I'm going to go through are going to be some design thinking activities where it's an inquiry-based investigation task using the online program Scratch, and another one is going to be essays, particularly the narrative that I just pulled up. So let's see. This is the narrative rubric that I provide for my students. Usually, I will have a single page document. So we're sixth grade, we do a lot of overlap with our English program and our humanities. And so in the beginning of the year, the students were introduced to pre-agricultural times and hunter-gatherers. And so we did a little research in social studies on Ötzi the Iceman, who was a mummified body that was found in the Alps. He is estimated to be about 5,000 years old. And historical people have learned that, a lot about his lifestyle. And that he was also murdered. And so students had to write like the last little 20 minutes of his prior to his murder. And so they needed this rising action and the fall. So do they have a clear plot? Do they use a variety of transitions so I'm able to follow along with the story? Does it go in a logical sequence? I had some students try to do flashbacks of thinking back to previous things before the murder itself or before the attack itself. And so they were able to give us a perspective about what was important to Ötzi the Iceman. They had clear expositions and clear conclusions, resolutions. So this all part right here was their organization and the purpose. And students had to self-assess first. Then they were able to have a peer review. And lastly, the students would sit with me and we would go over, they would read aloud their story to me and we would assess, did they get a 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the purpose and organization area. This part, most of my students did pretty well. The elaboration portion is a little more challenging for students, at least in the beginning of the school year. So were the experiences and events clearly developed? Is there a setting? Do I know where it's taking place? Dialogue, is it moving the story along? Is there description and pacing to enhance it? And then that figurative language, this 5 sensory details that we did a lot of work on. So again, the students would self-assess when they read through their final draft, then they would have a peer review, and then I would review it with them. Oh goodness, sorry. Okay, and then the last part here was the conventions. This is going to be 0 to 2. 2 is the highest you can get. So the dream score for students up here would be a 3 for sixth grade, a 3 for this one, and then a 2 for their conventions. So spelling is one area, punctuation, and then the last 12 down here, which is blocked, is capitalization. So students, I teach them, in the beginning of the year, we're really looking for that 3-3-2. Later on, when we have more advanced skills, we're going to be pushing some of us up into the 4s. So that kind of takes care of the ELA, and I'm running out of time. So I'll go quickly here with this next one. My Egypt game. So students are introduced to ancient Egypt, and then they create a scratch game based upon this. And so this is the rubric, are you beginning, are you developing, are you proficient, or are you exceptional? And so do you make this cross-curricular, this branch? Your project design, did you make your own work, your own sprites? Were you able to make sure that there was no background? Did you make it transparent? Do you have multiple layers in your scratch? Your programming, how easy is it for your sprites to move? Have you realized where you had like a loop that didn't work? Have you debugged it? Do you have multiple different sets? And then the processing too. Okay, so this is the design feature. So here I have like a complex. So when I introduce the task to my students, I share with them, these are complex. So this is going to be somebody who's like exceptional or above and beyond with their loops. Okay. If you're going for more the simple route, this is going to be like a developing, are you having your sprite just be on a simple loop? And then, see, I think I'm basically out of time, but this is the task that the students will be given. And so, I'm introduce the task and then I introduce the rubrics following it so the students are able to see. Then I sample in here some different examples. So if students and I want to check out one of them, we'll jump into a project that was created by one of my previous students. When students see this, they're like, holy smokes, look at all that coding. And then if we get into it, I'm this little jackal up here. I'm gonna try to move so I don't get attacked by these blocks. Oh, I already got hit by an arrow. Oh, got hit again. So anyway, so students have fun where they're able to see what other people have made. And then they go ahead and use the rubrics themselves to understand, oh, okay, this is what I'm going for. This is what I want to accomplish. This is what's going to get me that E or the S, okay? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that was beneficial.